what's up YouTubers, and good morning to yous. Obviously I'm up and ready to go for my last leg of the journey today, basically before I head homebound. As you can see, I'm obviously in my bed. Anyway, what I'm saying is here, on my last leg of the journey, obviously what the plan of attack is, basically, even though I'm ready, packed, ready to go, as you can see, even though it's a bit of a pigsty, I humbly apologise, but that's the joy of packing slash, unpacking. The last leg of the journey is going to be a tour around Foxton, basically, some main of the history parts of Foxton of what I'm going to bring you, some stop-off points, like maybe some photos with the Watertower versus the Windmill of Foxton, the murals of Foxton. Like, I was going to bring out a couple of cafes, that one of which we usually go to, like, the last 2-3 Christmases, well, when I used to live here, and, the LVN or live in, as I keep saying, even though I didn't want to bring out where I am, but I'll bring it out now just to tell you where I am. And last but not least, I'm hoping to take you on a beach trip while we're having our lunch, break with my family, and hopefully some of these, last bits of the clips will be, good for you. As I said also, I was hoping in this part of my last leg of the journey, as planned, if I haven't not said it already, I should say, is basically it's going to be broken up into 2 parts. One in which where I'm going to be like an LVN, and the other one taking you all down to Foxton sort of thing. We were going to go further northbound to about Waikato there, but due to unforeseen circumstances, not due to the weather, but due to my dad's health, basically, he's been pushing himself to try and get us there today to hopefully show you the ticket to where I would have been if I was down, Waikanae, down Tram and all those regions. But maybe in my next journey, if I plan to do another, travel with Aspie vlog, we'll do that before I decide to head off to Wellington. And my next plan is, hopefully after Christmas, if all goes well, is heading down south to some, video vlogs down there, taking you to some tourist attractions or just places that maybe will be of use to some of you who aren't from New Zealand, and bring out the history and scenery of New Zealand, what they're known for and whatnot. So until next time, guys, sit tight and enjoy the ride of this journey, and I'll see you all again soon.
Welcome back YouTubers to my channel of an everyday life of an Aspie. If you're following me right now, as you know, I've been doing the travel with Aspie vlogs right now. As you know, that basically I've been travelling about with Father Lion without him, even though we'll hopefully see what we get up to with the fun and games. But for now, I'm going to take you all on a tour heading down southern there of Foxton, where basically of this is mainly known for its history of some of the monuments, and I'm going to bring you some history along the way with some names hopefully for you guys, for the ones that are outside of New Zealand, so that maybe you guys, if you're into history, maybe this could be a tour spot for you guys to look into, to have a holiday in, or just to stop in and have a look around of those monuments I'm mentioning right now. So as I was driving past, basically we were driving past a place called Seaview Gardens Reserve, and then this one, obviously, for this is, all of this is a reserve as a valuable community asset, obviously, enabling the public to benefit from its pleasant aesthetic views and also their passive recreational opportunities. That it's obviously served as an iconic feature for Foxton and its township, with its unique features deserving the protection and enhancement of these gardens and its surroundings. So, as known for some of its scenery, for the bushes and stuff, the gardens were obviously, administered by the Operations Department of the Watertower District Council, with maintenance responsibilities coming under council's construction. However, basically, when it came out to it, though, it's kind of amazing what they go for, and its way of it, And obviously in the early times, however, with these gardens reserves of Seaview, basically of Foxton, was known as Fairy Hill. And in these photos that I'm going to hopefully share with you all, also will show you the water tower behind Seaview Gardens, even though I couldn't even get close enough, but I humbly apologise, but it should give you a fair idea what it looks like, so to speak. These are usually also enjoyed as particular views of the Watertower Harbour, when it was once a more dominant feature of the vista from the reserve panoramic views from the top of the gardens that can still be enjoyed today, however. Yet in the early 90s of 1991, the Foxton community became concerned at the untidy nature of the gardens. Suggestions to improve the Foxton sign came in about August of that year of 1991, and the Foxton Green Bees planted some livingstone daisies in the sign with the help of the, brownies, or shall we say those people that, do brownies. In August 92, however, a blue cedar tree was planted by Mrs. Donnelly, commencing Foxton Tree Week. In the early 1994, saw a panoply of suggestions to promote the Watertower, which is situated on top of the gardens, which I've actually shared with showing you guys, obviously, as of now. And in this feature of the water gardens, however, also this water tower was built to supply water to Foxton, as it was supposed to be improving the water's quality of Foxton. The water was not good before it was built, however, most of the time, basically, most of the homes were living on tap water. The water was always discoloured, however, and it still is to this day, which is a shame, really, and basically it tasted horrible for the residents of Foxton. And also, just a brief note that my mother's uncle was the one that built this water tower feature that you'll have seen briefly in this video. So, moving on, in July 1994, however, the council considered the sale of the surplus council property on the northwest corner. So basically, this would mean that it will retain this land as a form of a reserve. In July 1995, however, horticulture students helped the Keep Foxton Beautiful Association with planting in some anchor panthers. Excuse me. In July 1996, gates were fitted at Seaview Gardens for about $750 plus GST. The problem arose in early 1997, however, with household refused to deposit it in the gardens. So you can imagine the messy state that obviously it came into effect. In December 1998, however, also during this time period, Foxton Murals Committee sought permission to site a mural at the base of the garden sign, which is obviously opposed at that time, however. Where it's located, if you were to travel to see this point of this monument of the Seaview Gardens Reserve that I'm mentioning right now to you all, it's located at the Watertower River at the end of Union Street, Foxton. The reserve obviously provides permanent views of Main Street, Ihakara Gardens. Excuse my pronunciation of the Māori, guys. As I said before, my Māori is not as good as it used to be, and the Watertower River, which the exit point is from Johnson Street, State Highway 1, as you're turning left into Union Street. Basically, this ends the first part of the first stop, obviously, of this. Sit tight as I come back to you with more history as it unravels as we're travelling down here. So enjoy this. Like I said, I'll be showing some photos as well as, taking you all on a tour of the history of Foxton and whatnot, of where I stopped off of some of the send-off points. So right now I'm going to be showing you the murals as just briefly mentioned in the first piece of my stop-off point of those Seaview Gardens, which is now. Right, moving on to the next stage of my journey was basically where it's located, where those murals that I've just shown, all the paintings, to just clarify, basically. Welcome back, YouTubers. As mentioned before, on the left, obviously, by these murals that I've shown briefly to you all right now is basically the cafe of the Dutch oven, and over towards the other side of the mural paintings as you're walking in, leading into the information centre of Foxton, is the Molen Foxton, or shall we say the Dutch Windmill. The Windmill was obviously the dream of two Dutch immigrants, Jane Langen and Cor Slobie. Approximately $1,000 or $1 million was donated by the community to build the Windmill, and it was officially opened in 2003. It is fully equipped with the latest designs in composite milestones, as well as 2 new experimental wind blades. The Windmill is a charitable trust with a volunteer board and predominantly volunteer staff. All the efforts were made by the Dutch market on State Highway 1 Foxton and the Dutch oven that were aimed at raising funds to keep the windmill in top working order and open to the public as a monument to all the Dutch immigrants that came to New Zealand from Holland as the local information centre. As I said before, obviously, basically, there are many reasons to why we need to be obviously careful when you're touring around the inside the windmill, obviously, because there are
three floors, and obviously on the first floor you will find information about the windmills plus a DVD that will be playing on how a saw windmill was built and how it works. On the second floor, basically, you will be able to go out into the balcony where you will get great views of Foxton all the way leading to the ocean. But as they say, you need to take care, obviously, during the wet and windy conditions while walking around, sort of thing. Always stay behind the safety gates that are there, provided when the blades are operating. However, you will then see, however, a large ship-style wheel that is used to turn the blades into the direction of the wind. Look up and see the cape, the whole top of the windmill, obviously, which is maybe the third floor, shall we say, the last floor, which obviously sits on a rail with wheels and moves 360 degrees. The large wheel winds up the chain, which moves the top completely around to wherever the wind is blowing from. On the third floor, however, you will find 2 wooden cabinets containing 2 millstones each. Each stone weighs in excess of 1,000 kgs. This is where the grain is put through the millstones and ground into flour, which descends to the floor below yours through a wooden shaft. You will also find 2 small miniature millstones showing the parts that actually grinds the grain. Looking upwards and viewing the large wooden gears that are meshed together to turn the heavy millstones. You can also have a look through the windows to see how high you are if you dare, if you're not afraid of heights, however. Basically, this ends quickly about the tour of the windmill. Stay tuned and I'll be back with you. Thanks. What it's known for is basically the Foxton Trams attraction that is known for basically for people that are in Foxton and outside of Foxton, basically. And what this happens was obviously for the production of the thermal fibre on a large scale did not come into the late 1860s, however, when a machine was invented to beat the green leaf between a revolving metal drum and a fixed metal bar. Metal beaters on the surface of the drum stick the leaf at great speed, stripping away the non-ferrous metal and releasing the strands of fibre. More of this piece, obviously, of the Foxton Milling Factory that I'm going to introduce to you in the next stop-off point, but for now, the history of the trams basically is as follows, to just give you a brief ideas as we're travelling through, as well as with these pictures, hopefully. The tram horses and equipment were purchased in 1988 from Gary Costa in Dunedin. Gary had assembled them under the sponsorship of Spates Brewery, which is known, obviously, the brewery, built on a truck chassis. This replica of the 1800s tram is both new and old, however. The exterior is constructed with fiberglass, while the interior contains the same timber work as used in the original constructions that was built for these carriages. During its years in Foxton, however, the trams, horses, harnesses and necessary port items have gone through several changes with repainting and refurbishment as required. So today you may see some of the transport truck towing the tram to other venues that are around inside or outside of Foxton. On board will probably be your 3 horses of the Cheesdale horses in front of me, Clydesdale horses, of Holly, Kate and Cloud, which I think from memory when I was a little girl, basically when I was, going in and out of Foxton, once upon a time, I think I met these horses. They were just tame as they would be. When not on operation, however, the tram can be seen through the internal windows of the station tea rooms on Main Street of Foxton there, where it's stored in a purpose-built shed. Just to give you a lowdown though, the tram operates on weekends, usually Sunday, weather permitting, when volunteers are available, and at other times by arrangement. Driving these heavy horses is an art held by an ever-diminishing number of people, however. Volunteers usually operate the tram and look after the horses. They're always on the lookout for more drivers if people were interested to help maintain that attraction for, tourists like you guys overseas or just people inside New Zealand that might be of help. This is just a quick overview of brief history of the trams. Next one I'm hoping to bring out is the windmill, along with, as I said, some more diagrams, as well as hopefully Foxton Fizz Factory. But for now, we're going into the history of the carpet factory, and then last but not least, hopefully, not to bore you guys, hopefully the carpet factory or the flaxing factory that I mentioned earlier in this piece. So sit back and relax, and I'll be back shortly.
Welcome back. Now to the next stop of the journey, as I said, basically, is the Foxton carpets. Basically, this is a leading manufacturer for residential and commercial, carpets. The company began its manufacturing operations in New Zealand, obviously, in the early 1920s. The company was publicly listed and later acquired by Australian and New Zealand carpet manufacturer Godfrey Hirst Carpets, after going into receivership in the year of 2006. With the production plants that are in Victoria, Australia and New Zealand, as well as the offices in the United States, the company exports its products throughout Southeast Asia, Japan, USA, the Middle East and other world markets. Its well-known residential brands in Australia and New Zealand includes Feltex Classic, Redbook Total, Redbook Green and Feltex Green. Commercial ranges include Feltex Commercial, Feltex Minimus, Feltex Life, Feltex Tile by Design and Tascott. Obviously also the products that is obviously mentioned also, shall we say it's a public company, as I said, but the one that was later established is Godfrey Hirst Carpets, which is the largest manufacturer and exporter of residential and commercial carpets in Australasia. The business was founded in Geelong of Victoria, Australia in the late 1800s by a name of Godfrey Hirst, obviously an English immigrant from Melton, West Yorkshire, England. The business then was manufactured by various world textiles, shall we say, until it was sold in the 1960s, and Godfrey Hirst Carpets began their production of the well-known carpets that we know and love today. However, obviously, Godfrey Hirst acquired Feltex Carpets as an ongoing concern in the year of 2006. Godfrey Hirst, however, Carpets has production plants in Victoria, Australia and New Zealand. It also has their offices in the United States and Singapore. It exports throughout Southeast Asia, Japan, USA, the Middle East and other world markets. Obviously, for the production line or the products that Godfrey Hirst Carpets are basically as follows: Godfrey Hirst, Feltex, Highcraft. Well, that ends a short brief overview of the history of the Godfrey Hirst Carpets as well as also the Feltex Carpet. Sit tight until I take you on to the next stopover for what I'm going to bring you right now as we're journeying through this township. Hopefully you're enjoying these videos. Please remember also, as a brief note, just to comment below, just to give me, feedback of what you would like to see, or just feedback of the videos that you've seen so far of these vlogs, of, if there's any improvement needed to be done, or just anything just to show that you're engaging with me. So thanks for your support, and I'll be back shortly. Welcome back, YouTubers. Right, next stop off over, as mentioned, is the Foxton Flats Stripping Museum or what have you. This is obviously around the Molen by the Manawatu River, which is obviously in a boardwalk that threads its way through the flax or harakiki, the Phormium tenax flaxes and other native plants that is planted to enhance the natural environment. As I mentioned before, the Keep Foxton Beautiful group was a prime mover behind much of these landscaping and interior designing of the eventual establishment for the Foxton Flax Walk and whatnot that you see that are still living to its standards today. Yet in the heydays, however, of the flax industry, from the years of 1869 when the first mill was established to the well into the 1870s to 1888ish and 89 and 1914 to 1918, Foxton was obviously known as the New Zealand's flax town. The story goes that when the botanist and TV personality David Bellamy passed through the area, he commented on the lack of memorials to such a major feature of the town's history. As I mentioned before, Foxton is known for its history as you travel around. Obviously, just to bear in mind though, however, the Foxton Flax Stripping Museum was opened in the year of 1990. Since then, visitors have come far and wide to be able to watch Golden Burr strip the fibre out of the flax leaves on the Sutton Decoricator, the same machine he helped to build when he was an apprentice fitter and turner at the New Zealand Woolpack and Textiles Factory in the year of 1948. The first such machine, designed by Mr. E. Sutton, however, was built in 1930 that was capable of stripping off 16 tonnes of flax leaf in a day. The fibre was then washed and spread outside to dry and bleach into the sun when it's really fine. Gordon then puts it through a late 19th century scoocher, a huge drum with rotating blades inside it that beat it out, giving it a smooth finish. Usually he will warn you, obviously, if he's still alive and well, this
guy I'm mentioning to block your ears, basically, as he begins to operate the stripper. You know, as we know that, obviously, as he said at one stage, that Osh obviously hated it. But as moving on to more of it with these photos and images that I'm going to show you all, is Phormium tenax, or known as what I've mentioned briefly, Hara Kiki or native flax, has played an important part in the history, obviously, of Aotearoa New Zealand. For inside the long green leaves of this plant, lies a strong white fibre suitable for the manufacture of cordage and textiles. The Māori people utilised this sort of fibre for many hundreds of years, however, extracting it from the leaf with a mussel shell and preparing it for weaving or plaiting by a slow and laborious process of scraping, washing and beating. Most flax mills, however, today were small in size, containing only 1 or 2 strippers. However, they were an important source of employment for each stripper, providing work for them between 20 to 25 men. Flax leaves were then cut by hand in the swamp, tied into bundles, carted to the mills. The processed fibre was then pressed into bales, tied with ropes and carted to the nearest port or railway station for transport to market. Most of the fibre was exported to Australia, Britain and North America, where it was manufactured into rope and twine, but a small quantity was also spun into cordage within New Zealand. The largest flax mills in New Zealand, containing between 4 and 7 strippers, were erected in the Watertower region, however, which became the centre of the flax milling industry after the year of 1890. Important improvements in swamp management, flax cultivation, mill design and mechanical efficiency was pioneered in Molen and exported to other flax milling regions, which included Northland, Waikato, Bay of Plenty, Marlborough, Canterbury, Otago, Southland and Westland. The production then, however, of the firm fibre, as I mentioned before, on a large scale did not commence until the late 1860s. As I mentioned before, the flax stripper used in the museum is one that was operating at a firm called Bonded Felts, owned by Bill Hoskins. It was then designed by Mr. E. Sutton in the 1930s that was capable of stripping 16 tonnes of green leaf in a day. The other piece of machinery owned by the museum that you may go, and if you did, want to see it, is a screecher donated by a farmer near Blenheim. The flax stripper takes the fibre of the green leaf, requiring 750 gallons of water per minute to be washed over the fibre during the stripping process. After stripping it, it was put into the sun to dry and bleach. The screecher then takes out all the short fibres and polishes it up for a smooth finish. Just to bear in mind where it's located, Foxton was home to a number of flax mills situated on the Watertower riverbank, which is now known as the Loop. A tour of the museum includes seeing the machinery in operation and includes explanations of the industry from the tour guides that are there. A photographic display shows the production of carpets and wool packs from flax. This working machinery is still put to practical use, with the flax being stripped for people who want fibre for furniture making, packing and Māori crafts as known today. Well, that ends basically the next tour along of the journey. I'm journeying with you all. Feel free to sit tight and relax.
Welcome back, YouTubers. Now, the next part of the journey is I'm going to take you on a little, real short, brief history of showing you an image of the Turks factory. Basically, even though we'd driven it past as we were heading through to Foxton, couldn't stop off quick enough, obviously, but I'll show you a snapshot now. What makes them different from the rest of the, poultry farmers versus what have you, they obviously raise them and being free range chickens, basically. Obviously, you will first see that from their golden skin, reflecting of all the goodness that has been sun ripened from the corns that they use to feed these chickens. They are in line with the finest European traditions, Turks are, which are obviously, as I just said previously, that the chickens that they use are corn fed. Basically, also they are nestled in the rich rural heartland between the Manawatu and Kapiti region for this Turks poultry farm. They also produce eggs as well as poultry for the last over 40 years or so. They believe in their, value or what have you is basically that their size and family operated businesses usually lends itself to giving the type of service and quality demands by today's modern society of the modern end user markets. Obviously, Turks and Foxton, like many of the businesses in Foxton, are family operated, as well as in the small township here of Levin, where I've taken you on some parts of the journey. Basically, And also, basically, their key points of differences, as I said, are listed as follows. What they believe in is basically their key points are, number one, that obviously the chickens are on a corn-fed diet. Number two, the chickens they use is halal slaughtered, which means this will allow them to also produce a full range of further processed halal small goods. Obviously, another one is number three. There's nowhere in sight caged chickens, so they are as free range. Obviously, they'll be able to, roam around freely with no cages and that, which obviously for most of us today would love us to actually see them running around, freely around on the barn, around the barns and what have you, instead of cooped up in cages. That's the way to go in today's society. Last but not least, they believe that their free range line of poultry and poultry products are good. Obviously, it's 100 in New Zealand owned and operated, percent of it, New Zealand owned and operated by people, basically. If you wanted to know where they're located, if you were to go through a tour, welcome back, YouTubers. Right, leading on as I promised. The history of Foxton Fizz is as follows, of a brief timeline for you all. In 1918, obviously, the first electric power lines were installed in Foxton to provide the modern convenience of electric lighting. There were 3 linesmen installing these lines on the main street of Foxton while they were thirsty during the months of summer. In 1928, before the famous Foxton Windmill was built, however, there was a tower called the Tower of Terror, which is a water slide fed with diluted sugar water from the Foxton Fizz factory. This is the tallest structure on the main street as you're coming into Foxton, obviously, for over 3 years. Obviously, when it vanished one night in January 1931, the tower reappeared 2 weeks later in Napier in an act of retaliation for Foxton Rugby Football Clubs in 1927 for thefts of the famous giant grape from Napier. The grape was then repainted brown at the Foxton Fizz factory before being installed in Victoria Park and officially renamed the large lamb dropping. The tower was destroyed a week later in February 1931 due to that Hawke's Bay earthquake. In the year of 1936, free Foxton Fizz was delivered daily to local schools during the Depression for health benefits until the year of 1937, when the government's free milk and school scheme just began. In the year of 1942, however, the Miss Foxton Fizz shows off the new cocktail flavours before her trip to visit the Kiwi troops at the war in the Pacific. Soldiers discovered that the bottles were made excellent, non-explosive grenades. A well-thrown bottle could easily, knock out an enemy if hit on the head, and bottles were also made into Motu-Love cocktails. However, the pink petrol-filled bottles were easily confused with pink cocktail flavour, which resulted in fresh fizz being thrown during fighting, providing the enemy with a delicious and refreshing drink. In the year of 1955, however, Miss Prudence Potts purchased 1 millionth of bottles of Foxton Fizz and received a cake and voucher for free for the bottles of Foxton Fizz. 1961, the running of the annual Foxton Fizz steeplechase started, and the Pumice North Horse culminated Cola 1 with a time of 8.47 and took home a barrel of Foxton Fizz, the tropic flavour, basically, as shown for first prize. The horse lost the next year after stopping at the jump to drink fizz from a leaking barrel, but we then began on to winning again in the year of 1963 after the leaky barrel was patched up. In the year 1967, the first supermarket was to stock Foxton Fizz, obviously in 1961, was Harold's Self-Service Supermarket. It stocked the most popular flavour, carrot and pineapple, at that year, completing with a new innovative paper label. A roaring trade one day in the year of 1967 saw 11 bottles sold, topping the old Day One record from 1959 of 9 bottles from Donald's Dairy across the road. This led to a falling out between Harold and Donald that led to unfortunate incidences when Donald rode his horse into Harold's supermarket that then knocked over a crate of fizz. He was arrested and fined $6.50 for misuse of a horse in a retail premises. In the year 1975, a local resident and Foxton fashion icon, Gary Green, who was then hired to promote Foxton Fizz at the Agricultural and Pastoral Show. Gary was well known in Foxton for his stylish dress, sense of popular appeal amongst most women. In that year, Gary aspired to become a famous celebrity in Levin and even throughout Otaki. Foxton Fizz was hoped to be revived, flagging sales of the controversial decision to drop pumpkin flavour from the production in the year of 1974. During that time, however, also the AMP show opened to a great start, but 9 children saw Gary not smoking while sitting in a tractor. The parents of the 9 children were angered at the poor example he was setting for the children, and after that second incident, he tied off to a number 8 fencing wire in Crookley in the celebratory fencing competition. The disgraced Gary moved to Wellington to become a local MP. In the year of 1987, Foxton Fizz delivery planes making its first flight in the year of September of that year, 1987, before sealed roads in the district of the Flying Fox made deliveries to the schools, Harold Supermarkets and the Donald's Dairy. Landing on Main Street meant dodging overhead wires and petitions, but the daily delivery time was quicker by over 5 minutes. The plane was also used for sightseeing flights over Foxton Beach and to deliver shampoo to local hairdressing salons. 2007, Foxton Fizz was introduced to new modern scientific methods and research to develop exciting new fizz flavours such as the enhanced curly top lemonade and deluxe cola. The installation of this new telephone in the factory replaced the direct Morse telegraphic connection to the Foxton Working Men's Club. Then there was an advanced new wide interweb page featuring the telephone number and Foxton Fizz logo goes online. Last but not least, 2012. Foxton Fizz in the year of 2012 is sold at many modern milk bars and tea rooms throughout the lower North Island. Foxton Fizz is one of the few remaining independent soda companies that is operating in New Zealand, however. 94 years and still going strong, however. Foxton residents are proud to be, having these fizzes, and they are obviously sure to, for us to enjoy these fantastic fizzy fruity flavours also like they did in their years. So that's the end of a brief history of Foxton Fizz. Stay tuned for the next part of the journey, which I'm going to take you on right now, and hopefully you'll enjoy the next few bits. Thanks for watching. Yo, I'm back despite this windy weather. I hope you can hear me. Give me the lowdown just to, thumbs it up or just comment below so I know what I'm aiming for this journey. If you're enjoying it as that, as well as also, I don't know if you can see from what I'm taking right now on Foxton Beach, somewhere further afield, basically there is an island ahead of me. Basically, I know it's a bit windy, I might not be able to get a steady snapshot, but northbound when I'm shooting this video right now to you all, the thing that's it there is Kapiti Island, where it's famous for tourists to, visit the local attractions of the native forestry and birds that they usually have out there. So that's a little bit of brief about that. So sit tight and take this walk with me through the next few bits and enjoy the rest of the video. Yo, welcome back YouTubers to my channel for my final leg of the journey of following with Aspie, or shall we say travelling with Aspie vlogs. As you can see, it's a beautiful day. Obviously behind me I had a pit stop obviously along the way. Obviously it's a beach, but by the sound effects it's done obvious here. You'll probably say to me, now shit Kieran, obviously I'm in Foxton Beach right now with my parents at the moment, and as well as my sister. So this is my last leg of the journey, and it's just insaneness. So hopefully basically on this last leg of this part 2, I'm going to break it down to you. It's basically, I'm going to show you where I've been in the last part as well as the history, similarly to where I've been for the first part. So hopefully sit tight and relax and enjoy the most part of the scenery, and I'll hopefully see you all again soon. Thanks for watching.